So I'm going to be going over this lab today, and what I've done is I've just copied the starting part of the examples, and so I will work through them, but then we will check back with the lab instructions just to make sure that our answers are correct. Okay, so on this first one, let me get my pen up here. We are asked to find the equation of the line going through the point -3, 14, and its slope is 0. As soon as you see that the slope is 0, that tells you you have a horizontal line. And horizontal lines are always written as y equals a number. Now, what number is it going to be? Well, what's the y coordinate? And we're actually done with what it asked us to do, but you could go ahead and draw this if you had to, or if you've been shown a picture and asked what the equation is. So the horizontal line, y equals 14, is a horizontal line that goes through 14 on the y-axis. Okay, and you can see that it contains the point -3, 14. See, it's on there. So this question could have also been asked, like if you're just given this graph and you're asked what is the equation of the line. You can see that it's a horizontal line, and horizontal lines have equation y equals, and the y value is where it goes through the meets the y-axis. Okay. All right. So horizontal lines and vertical lines are special, but for all other lines, we have different types of ways to write them. But there's only one way to write a horizontal line, and that's y equals a number, the equation of a horizontal line. Okay, now let's go to example 2. And as soon as you see that the slope is undefined, that means that you have a vertical line. Now, vertical lines all have the same equation. The equation is x equals a number. And what's the number going to be? There's the x coordinate, so the equation is going to be x equals -9. Now, what if you were asked to draw this line? Or what if you were given the picture, the graph of the line, and told to write its formula? Okay, so we want the vertical line x equals -9. So I'm going to find -9 on the x-axis, and that is the vertical line that goes through -9 on the x-axis. So there's a picture of the line. And you can see that the point -9, 11 is going to be on that. So if you were just given this and you were asked, well, what's the slope? The slope is undefined. What's the equation? It's a vertical line. It goes through -9. So the equation is x equals -9. Okay. Lots of students get the equations for vertical and horizontal lines mixed up. Don't do that. Okay. All right. Now, suppose you're given 2 points and you're asked to write the equation of the line. And there are many different ways you can write it: in slope-intercept form, in standard form, and general form. Okay. If we're going to do these, we're going to make use of the point slope form, which is why I have it written there. But the first thing, what is the first thing you can figure out? If you've been given 2 points, what can you figure out? If you have 2 points, you can figure out the slope. And the slope is a fraction, and in the numerator, you're going to have the difference of the y coordinates. So this is the first point, this is the second point. So it's going to be 6 minus 5, then divided by the difference of the x coordinates. And it's always the second minus the first. So 7 minus -4. 6 minus 5 is 1. 7 minus negative 4 is 7 plus 4, which is going to be 1/11. Okay. And let's check that now with our... Okay, so here's the steps. So we've just done that step. So I have that the slope is 1/11. Now I have enough to write my equation in point-slope form. I don't have enough to write it in any of the other forms. I only have the slope. So what I'm going to do is get it written in point-slope form, and then I will use that to write it in these other forms. Okay, now point-slope form, you need either 1 point and the slope, which we have, or you can get it from 2 points, which is what we started with. So the slope is going to be 1/11. And now we only need 1 point. We have been given 2 points. So we are free to choose whichever point we want to use. Now, I would choose, personally, this one because there aren't any negative symbols in it. So you can choose this other point to start with, and that is perfectly fine. But just for ease, since there's no negative symbols, I'm going to choose this point. You choose one of the points and the slope. So that's what I'm going to go with. So using the point slope form, this is going to be y minus the y coordinate of the point you've chosen is equal to the slope that we just found times, in parentheses, x minus the x coordinate of the point you've chosen. Okay, so that's the point slope form. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to get these other forms from it. Oops. Okay, so this is the point slope form. Okay, now let's get it into slope-intercept form first. So you want y by itself equals m times x plus b, where m is the slope, and b, so it's a b, not a 6, is the y-intercept, but it's a constant. And we can do that here. Let's add 6 to both sides. So those will cancel. Then let's distribute that 1/11 through the parentheses, and I'm just going to make some more room now. Okay. So this is going to be 1/11 times x minus 1/11 times 7, or negative 7, is going to be negative 7/11. And then we've got the plus 6. And now I just need to write that as a number. And I'm going to get my calculator to do that. I could also rewrite 6 as 66 over 11 and then combine them, which is what you had to do in the olden days before calculators. But, you know, you can use a calculator. So let me get this up here. Let's do negative 7/11 plus 6, and then press enter, then press the math button here, and then press enter 2 times. Enter, enter. And that gives me the fraction. And that's going to be equal to 59/11. And this is the slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. So if I was asked for the y-intercept, I know it's going to be that. But I wasn't asked for it. But anyway, let's check. Okay, so everything that I just did on the screen there is written out here in the steps. Okay, and it even says write that as a single fraction, and I show you how to do it in your graphing calculator. Okay, so we have the slope-intercept form. Okay, now let's get the standard form. All right, standard form is capital A times X plus B times Y equals C, where A, B, and C are whole numbers, integers. And the first one, A, has to be positive. And these have to be coprime. What do I mean by coprime? You cannot have this because they all have a common factor. They're not coprime. They all have a common factor, which happens to be 2. So if I divide everything by 2, now that's in standard form. Okay, that's what it means by coprime. So we're here. First thing is we need to get rid of the fractions. How do you get rid of a fraction? You multiply whatever's in the bottom. So I'm going to multiply every term, because you got to do the same thing to every term, multiply every term by 11. So this is going to become 11y. This is going to become 11 times 1 over 11 times x. And this is going to become 11 times 59 elevenths. And so I'm going to have 11y equals, the 11s cancel here, and I get 1 times x, which is x, and plus the 11s cancel here, and I get a 59. So it's still not in standard form, but we're working with integers now. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I need to get the x to the other side. How am I going to get the x to the other side? I subtract it from both sides. So this will become, over here, negative x plus 11y equals 59. Now we're almost there, except that the coefficient for x has to be a positive number. So I'm going to multiply every term here by negative 1. You got to do the same thing to every term or you don't have equality. Okay. My dog thinks I'm talking to somebody else and he's jealous. Negative 1 times, shush, 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 shush. Negative 1 times negative x is positive x, and negative 1 times 11y is minus 11y equals negative 59. And now that is in standard form because I do have an integer here. It's actually 1, but we don't write the 1. So let me check it. Standard form, x minus 11y equals negative 59. So let me go back here. Okay, so I have it in standard form. Now let me make some room. Let's get it into general form, which is easy once we have the standard form. So the general form is ax plus by plus some number c equals 0. And again, the a, b, and c have to be integers, whole numbers, and the a has to be positive. And so all I need to do here to this side is to add 59 to both sides, and then that's going to give me x, oops, let me do it in black, x minus 11y plus 59 is equal to 0. And now that is of the form that is required for the general form. So again, remember this, technically that number's a 1. So all of these numbers are integers and they're coprime. They don't have any factors in common. And the coefficient for x is positive. All right, so that finishes example 3. And again, we'll check it over here. Okay, so once you have standard form, it's easy to get general form. You just get this over to the other side and it's in general form. Okay, so again, let's do the same thing just with something new. So let me get rid of this. again, I'm going to use point slope form in this example. Okay. Okay, let's trying to get that higher up, but never mind. Okay, come back here. All right, write the equation of the line, and now we're told the slope, -1/2, and we're told a point. And again, they want slope-intercept form, standard form, and general form. Well, we have the slope and we have a point, so we're going to use the point slope form. So it's going to be, so this is our M, and this is the point we've been given, so x1, y1. All right, so we're going to have y minus, so I'm copying the subtraction sign, y1 is equal to M times, in parentheses, x minus x1 minus our x coordinate. All right, now I need to clean it up. Okay, and I'm done with point slope, that formula. I don't need that anymore. I don't need that arrow anymore. Okay, now I'm going to clean it up. Y minus -5 is y plus 5. I have -1/2 out the front, parentheses, x minus -3 is x plus 3. Okay, now let's do slope-intercept form. So that has to be y equals mx plus b, where b is the y-intercept. It'll just be a number, so that's a b, not a 6. Let's subtract 5 from both sides. Okay, so I do have y by itself. That's great. And now let's clean up what's on the right-hand side. I'm going to distribute the -1/2 through. And -1/2 times +3 is -3/2. And then the next thing to get it into this form is I need to combine those into a single fraction. And again, I could have written 5 as 10/2, and -3/2 minus 10/2 is -13/2. That's how we did it in the olden days, but you can do it on your calculator. So let me come over here. -3/2 minus 5, then press enter, then press math, then press enter, enter. -13/2. You want to write it as a fraction, not as a decimal, because you won't see it as a decimal on any of the multiple choice selections in a final exam. You need to get used to looking at fractions. So and now that is the slope-intercept form. If I was asked what is the y-intercept is the point 0, -13/2, because that's the y-intercept. I wasn't asked that, but just that little bit of information. Okay, now we want standard form. Oh, let me just check that my slope-intercept form is correct, because you don't want it to be wrong and then go on and keep doing stuff that's wrong. Okay, -1/2 x minus 13/2. -1/2. Okay, so that's correct. So standard form has to be a times x plus b times y equals c, where the a, b, and c are whole numbers, i.e. integers, and a has to be positive. Okay. Right, so this has y. Let's get rid of the fractions. Let's turn everything into a whole number. How am I going to do that? You multiply everything by whatever's in the bottom, or the lowest common denominator, the bottom. So suppose this had been a 2 in the bottom here and that had been a 5, you'd multiply everything by 10 in order to get rid of the fraction. But here, this is going to be nice. So I'm just going to multiply everything by 2. So I'm going to have 2 times y is equal to 2 times negative 1/2 x minus 2 times 13/2. So you have to do the same thing to every term in order for the equality to still be valid. So this is going to be 2 times y is equal to, and so here the 2's cancel and I get negative x. Here the 2's cancel and I get minus 13. Okay, now we're nearly there. Now let's add x to both sides. And so that's going to cancel, and I'm going to write it over here. I'm going to have x plus 2y is equal to negative 13. And I am done, because technically that's a 1. So I have integers, whole numbers, and the first one, the coefficient for the x, is positive. And 1, 2, and negative 13 are all co-primed. They do not have a common factor. So that is what it looks like in standard form. They wouldn't write it with the 1 there. So let me check this. There we go. There's standard form. And now once you have standard form, the general form's easy, because the general form, you want a times x plus b times y plus some number c equals 0, where the a, b, and c are integers, whole numbers, and the a is positive. So to change this into general form, I just add 13 to both sides. And that fulfills the requirements of general form. And I'm done. Okay. And that concludes this lab. And so your web work questions will all be based on these examples or part of these examples. Again, hit the email instructor if you're having problems.